So today we're going right back to our childhood. I don't know if many of you remember school dinners fondly, but we used to have a really lovely minced beef pie. So here I've got a pack of 1,000 grams of 12% minced beef, 2 onions. I've got a very sad looking swede, which I'm going to peel, take that bit off and use. Got a few oxos, 2 onions, I don't know how many of these I'll need, carrots, corn flour to thicken up the gravy, salt, pepper, bit of Worcester sauce might need to go in there, bit of oil for frying the onions, and then the flour and the stalk, and I should have an egg here as well, is for the pastry. There we are, an egg appears. I'm using one of these because I think I'm more than likely going to freeze this, and then when friends and family get together, it'll be a really nice homely pie to have. So although I can actually get a pie out if the pastry's right, this way I can just peel or cut out the pie once it's defrosted, and obviously it's going onto a flat tray. If ever you're using these, put them onto something solid, because when you get them out they're not very steady. And a large flat frying pan. I might grate the swede. I'm going to see how, if it's too soft to do that, rather than having the sort of big chunks of swede in there. So it all looks like a lot of ingredients, but a lot of this is for the pastry, and obviously these bits are for the filling. And I'm hoping, remember the pastry in the bottom is going to take up a little bit of space. I'm hoping that is going to fill that, which will do lots of portions. So I've grated half a swede, and it was actually grateable, so that's good. It's only because it's a bit of a tough one to cook in a quick time. Now I'm doing my carrots as small as I can. Obviously I'm not a chef, so I haven't got all this high speed chopping business going on. Just trying to avoid my fingers, to be honest. So you want them fairly small. I'm going to carry on. I think, because these carrots are quite small, I've got 3 there. I'll probably do a couple more, looking at the size of the tin. I'll keep going till I think I've got enough, and then I'll do my onions and I'll get back to you. Now if we're all very quiet, you can probably just hear the background noise of our elderly Jack Russell snoring by the cooker. He hangs out there because he thinks food's going to drop, which sometimes it does. And then we've got our other elderly, both rescue Jack Russells, gnawing away at biscuits and drinking water, which she doesn't do until I start doing this little film, and then she takes it upon herself to crunch through a whole bowl. If we shut them out the kitchen, which we would never do, they whine at the door or bark. So we're all in the kitchen together today, so if you hear some weird noises, it's generally them in the background snoring like little elephants or doing other weird noises. I'm not sure, because a lot of this we don't practice, obviously, you can tell that. So I think I'm going to put these on a very quick parboil, just to take some of the hardness out of them. So I'm going to do 2 more carrots, and then I will get back to you. So I've got my pan here, I've got my 2 big Spanish onions, chopped, not sliced, so you can see. My grated swede, and my carrots are on a parboil, so I'm just going to get some of the crispiness out of them. So I'm going to put in some olive oil initially. There we are. Bob, out of the bin. His other name is Womble, and he grabs things that you put in the recycling bin and wanders off with them. Oh, where would we be without dogs? So I'm going to get that nice and hot. I'm going to put some black pepper in. Okay. So we've got oxos going in, so we don't want tons of salt till we've given it a try. I might put Worcester sauce in, I'm not sure. So it's just starting to bubble now. And then just take your mince. This was £4.50 for the packet. And I'm hoping that with everything else it's going to do.
Well, that's a kilo of mince, so just over £2, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to do the big. Oh, I'm so messy. All this was sterilised before I did this. So, I'll spread it out. So like I said before, if you're using frozen mince, make sure it's fully defrosted. Otherwise you'll get lumps, big sort of chunky lumps in, which is okay, but not great really. So there we are, that's all in there. I'm going to get a wooden spoon, and your main thing is you want to get this brown. Now you can either do onions first or mince first. Now I find if I do my onions first, the mince doesn't tend to go as brown. So what I might do is do this, pop this out, and then do my onions. Now this pan is a mystery to me. It's so useful in size, but it tends to sort of broil things. I've got another pan that's really grotty looking and it gets things nice and brown quickly.
But it doesn't look so good on screen.
No, it doesn't hold as much. That's the whole thing.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't look great. But so this will take its time browning. I need to get it up much more temperature. So I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, so as you can hear, this is sizzling. I've drained some of the fluid out just so it gets a little bit of a brown. And in the meantime, I've drained my parboiled carrots and I've kept the water for gravy. So that's fine. So I'm going to tip this out into my tin and then cook my onions. So my onions are in now. There we go. Now I've put the meat into the tin it's going in, so you can see I still need some volume, but not massive. So I think we're going to be okay on quantity on this. Now what I'm going to do is put a tiny bit of sugar in with these, just to take some of the bitterness off. I haven't put any more oil in here because there's enough oil gone into the mince. Let me just grab a little bit of sugar. There we are. And I'm going to cook these till they go opaque, well, as best as I can anyway. Then I'll add my swede, and then I'll add my mince, and then we'll make our gravy. And then we'll be on to our pastry. Obviously you all know how to cook onions, so I'm going to come back to you. Please give this a see. I'll put my swede in, little bit more salt. Bit more pepper, because remember it's a massive quantity pie we're making, and you want to cook the swede. It will cook in the oven with the mince and everything. The reason I've grated it is just that when you parboil it, it takes quite a while. This is a good way of sneaking swede into meals for kids, because they don't always recognise it. Most kids are okay with carrots, so I don't worry so much there. Smells lovely, and it does remind me of, I know a lot of people used to hate school dinners, but our school, some of our school dinners were lovely, and the dinner hall always smelled gorgeous. So this is just bringing back some memories. And it's quite an inexpensive meal considering how many servings you get from the big pack of mince. So that's probably why they did it. Okay, so I'm going to bring over my mince now. Now this is the tin I'm going to make it in. You don't need to wash this out because all that is oil from the mince. So we'll just put the pastry straight onto that. I don't like loads of gravy and mince. We like it quite dry.
What about
like that's my personal, and Henry. But you like loads of gravy, so we're going to put lots of gravy in.
Yes.
So there we go. So you can see the Swede's almost disappeared now. And then when the gravy goes in, you won't even see it. But it adds a really lovely taste. I'm not putting peas in with this because I probably will serve it with peas and
potatoes.
Cauliflower. Yeah, there's no potatoes in this, but you've got pastry on top and bottom. So I would just serve it with broccoli or cauliflower or something like that. Now this mix that I'm making here will be really good pasty mix with the Swede in. And I would use probably white pepper?
Yeah, white pepper.
Yeah, white pepper in instead. And, you know, maybe a bit of mace. But I wouldn't put heavy gravy, obviously, into a pasty because they're quite dry. And what you would do is probably cube very small pieces of potato into this. But you could see that is what you would recognise as a pasty filler. So we'll leave that on. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add the moisture I took off the mince to get it frying in my defective pan. So this is why you need a big pan. You could do this, once you've done your onions and mince, you could put this into a saucepan. Did you just kick Bob?
I just kicked the ball.
By mistake. Yeah, okay. We're going to put in some, he's always hanging around the cooker, bless him. Like I said earlier, you have to be ever so careful. That's the carrot juice. I'd only put a little bit of salt into that, so I'm not adding any extra salt. And what I'm going to do now is put in my oxos. Now I know 3 you might think is a bit excessive, but I actually think this quantity needs it. So now you could use gravy granules with this, but OXO is a taste of our past. I don't know, it gives it a certain depth of taste. We're not making like chef's stock here, you know, it's just OXOs. But there's a different taste to Bisto. Bisto tastes different, so it could be preference. So, but this gives it a really deep taste. Okay, so we're just gonna mix that in. And I'm gonna let it cook. Remember, it's gonna cook in the pastry, but I'm gonna keep it going for a good 10 minutes to get that sweet cooked. And then I'll be able to taste it, because you'll have some inclination then what all these flavours are gonna bring together. So it's then after 10 minutes or so, I'll give it a taste, see if it needs a bit of Worcester sauce or salt and pepper, another OXO, there we are, or more water. I won't add more water just yet. And then of course I need to add some corn flour to thicken up the gravy, which you can't see at the moment, Dav, but it will come. So, as we always say, we'll be back in a minute. So this has been on for about 20 minutes in total. And I'm not going to add Worcester sauce because I actually think this has more of an authentic taste of what I remember. So we're going to increase the gravy side of things. I also put, can you give me a bit more water? I also put in another OXO. We had a taste, a bit more seasoning, but it's got a lovely taste. And that will only get better as things cook down a bit more. Right, now I'm actually thickening with corn flour. So I've got 3 teaspoons of corn flour in. Lots of people don't use corn flour anymore. What you do, you make a paste. This is for my son's benefit as well as, can you see it? Well, you normally make a little paste and you add a bit more water. You get your water up to the boil and then you just put this over, and what this does, it acts as a thickener to the gravy. This is pre-granules days, and just 3 tablespoons for this, teaspoons for this amount might be enough, but we'll see. You have to give it a chance because the heat obviously causes the thickening action. haven't put my teeth in the right way today, I don't think. Having one of those days. It's thickening up a bit. Let's have a look and see. Still quite watery there. Unfortunately, this hob side is the lower heat. It's nearest to where we can put the camera. So I'm going to make it a little bit more. I haven't got much left. Let's have a look. Put another 2 teaspoons in. We don't want it tasting too floury, really. So a little bit of water into the cup. Mix it in. I remember watching my nan do that years ago and thinking, oh, magic. Simpler times. There, that should do it now.
You're so easy to entertain.
I know.
It's hardly Paul Daniels, is it?
When you've had a family and you've watched people cooking and things, I suppose these are little memories you have, and that's why it's nice to carry on cooking family recipes and things, because it carries those people on. And when you cook those things again, I mean, we've all cooked, all our family have probably cooked this at some point. Seems simple, but it just is very simple fare. You know, there's so many things coming in now with, you know, duck pancakes and, oh, I can't even tell you, Italian and Chinese and everything, which is all great and all has its traditions. But this, standing here, looking at this very messy frying pan, takes me right back to my gran and takes me back to my mum as well, because we didn't have tons of money. So we really had to make everything stretch a long way. But smelling this here brings them back too. So it's sort of a bit like time travel, really, cooking. It's the smell, taste and memories.
Well, I suppose it's the sort of meat and 2 veg mentality that was, you know, the rationing brought in because it was enough calories to keep you alive so you could build a warship in the day.
That's right. So this is, you know, it's good for the soul, really, doing things like this. And it's always good to find new recipes and new things to do and bring them into traditions as well. So I'm going to stop waffling now, and I'm going to take this off the heat. I'm going to let it cool a bit, and then I'm going, as I've preheated my oven to 180, and I'm going to start on my pastry now. So I've made 2 pounds of hot water pastry. So that's, I'm saying 2 pounds, it's 2 pound of flour, 12 ounces of margarine, and I've actually put 2 eggs in, which I should have told you about earlier because I only did 1 egg for the top. So in total you'll need 3 eggs. Now the oil in this tin is from when I put the mince out, but that's okay. Now we need to we want to go the length of the tin, and then we want to come up the sides. Okay, so keep your tin handy and your flour handy as well. I'll just give that a bit of a flour and a rolling pin. Now I've taken some of this off, it's in the bowl behind me for the lid, but I think I might need to steal some of this for the lid as well. I'm not sure if I've got enough, but I've taken a chunk off what I think might do it. Now I'm debating what to do about this. This is how I cook. As I go along.
Ad hoc.
Yeah, so I'm actually thinking what I might do is bake this a bit. Because we've put quite a bit of gravy in, I don't want the bottom going really mushy. It's quite a deep tin, so I'm thinking, now we've lost, I don't know where things go here, but I've lost my baking beans. So I'm sort of thinking, do I do it? And it's not going to come out very successfully. But I think I'll give it a bit of a bake, because otherwise what's going to happen is all my gravy is just going to soak into the bottom. Okay. Now you can put semolina flour in the bottom of a very moist pie, and that will soak up some of the liquid. I haven't got any of that either. Obviously pre-thought this really well. So you want this about the thickness of a pound coin. The top can be thinner, but you need it to have some integrity. So let's have a look. We're almost there. Now we can patch this a little bit if we need to, which means we can add a bit, like probably need to there. I don't want to go a lot thinner. And this is going to be a swine to pick up as well. All good. So I'm going to get some flour on my rolling pin. And as you can see, this is a huge bit of pastry here. Very, very careful. I'll just put a bit of flour there in case I've got to lay it back down. So, here goes. It's splitting, that's all right. Everything can be repaired. Well, that's quite a big repair, but that's all right. It's good to show these things because if things go wrong, it shows you how you can remedy them, which you don't see on the telly. And then a lot of people just give up. They think, oh, I can't do that. But they don't show all the other shots they did wrong, or where things, they should do bloopers of baking, of famous bakers or whatever, and show all the fails. So all I'm going to do, I've got tiny bit of water in there. I'll get a bit more actually. You can see behind me, it's like a bomb's gone off. Okay, so I'm going to glue that, and because this is hot water pastry, that will form really quite a good seal. And you don't want to pull this pastry too tight. You want to sort of ease it in, because all that will happen is it will stretch. See there, you need to pop a bit more into that corner and break. So it needs to be, there we are. So what I'm going to do now is take a sharp knife. I'm not going to go completely to the edge. This is a very rough first cut because I don't want this to go too far into here, because then it won't make a good join. So very gently, try not to drag it. And then you'll know where you are. Is the camera getting any of this?
Yeah.
Okay, I've definitely gone to sleep for a minute.
No.
So we've got quite a lot of pastry over, and I'll show you the other blob I've got. So I've probably well overdone the lid, but I don't think a pound of flour would have been, with that method, would have been enough. And as you know, I love any excess, because I can always make something else. Because if you're going to get in a mess in one go, because you don't want to be doing this on a daily basis really, or it's nice to have stuff in the freezer and you can just pop it out if you've been to work, or you're having one of those days, or you have an impromptu load of people around. It's nice to have stuff to hand. Right, so there we go. So that's looking all right. Very homemade, but it's looking quite relaxed. Okay, I'm not going to egg wash this now. I'm going to get a fork, because I haven't got baking beans, which we should have got. Just going to go over. Now the pricking will don't go right to the bottom, will hopefully stop it coming up, because it will naturally sort of come up into sort of air pockets. I've never done this before without baking beans. It's all new.
Dun, dun, dun.
And now we could have another disaster on our hands.
Oh,
come out like a balloon.
Oh, well, this one may be consigned to the vault.
We'll eat it, whatever happens. Okay, so I'm going to put that on quite a hot oven. I'm putting it on for 180. I'm not going to let it go completely brown, because obviously it's got to then rebake. I'll let you know how long I have it in for. So remember, it's going onto this flat tin and it's going in the oven like so. So this is my leftover pastry while my base is pre-cooking in the oven. Now, anyone that uses hot water pastry will know, if you leave it too long, it sort of goes very brittle and it's very hard to manipulate. So what I'm going to do is actually roll out my lid now. and then lay it flat and hope for the best. Don't worry about these little creasy bits in the, this would be my underside of my lid. We've lost my big rolling pin too. I don't know if people come in and just borrow stuff.
The kitchen goblin's been in. Oh no, Jake, if you look behind you, there it is.
Hang on. So different people empty the dishwasher. They all put things in different places. It's obviously right in front of me. That's better. That one's like a toy, that other one. I don't know how old this rolling pin is. This was an inherited thing from Davin's Nanan's rolling pin.
That's Nanan's one, all
right. It's a good one, this one. I was talking about I said gran earlier. It was all our my side are nannies. I don't know why they're called nannies, and my Scottish nanny was Nanny New. Well, that's a, surprise, surprise. Because she talked very newish.
Go on, G, the woman of 1,000 voices.
As soon as it come out, hi, the new. As soon as it come out, I thought that didn't sound right. Sorry, anyone from Scotland there, offending you. So Davin's nanny was a nanan, and then my nanny Playster obviously was a nanny, and she made historically the worst pastry ever. And she made it with lard, and she'd make it the morning before, put it in the oven for so long, and you could actually use it for shoe bottoms, I believe. Poor Nanny Playster, bless her. I don't know what went on there. She didn't add, I don't know if she even added fat.
Oh, but see, you've said all that, and now, of course, there's the Granny Wigs, but Granny Wigs is not a nanny.
Oh, yeah. That's getting complicated. So what I'm going to do is leave myself some room to press in. Now I've offended her pastry. The pastry gods will come back and say, no, your pastry will now
smite your pastry.
Fail. Actually, I wasn't left with as much as I thought. It looked like I was going to be left with a lot. I've left this fairly thick, actually. I might have to give that, yeah, you can see that's a bit thick. Come on, Gina, get yourself together. Let's give it a bit of a roll out. Don't want it too thin, otherwise we never pick the stuff up. Chefs all over the world that aren't watching this, spending hours getting pastry right, and I'm just slapping it about. Yes. Win the award for worst home cook. I just think it doesn't matter if you're, not got brilliant skills, as long as everything's edible, it's all enjoyable. You use up all you can in your house. That's all you need to be able to do. If you create something and it looks like something that's come out of a field.
Yeah, but that's the key, G, is that you're creating something.
Yeah, it's like magic. You're taking base ingredients and turning them into something else, and it's it's all good, and it's cheap. Some of it isn't cheaper than what you can buy, but it's different. You could probably buy a pie like this, I don't know what for, but they have a lot less filling. They don't have the taste.
They'll have used the cheapest possible meat. I mean, we've not spent a fortune, but it's...
No, so it's, you're creating something for you and your family. So what I'm going to do, what on earth's under there? Like
a budgie.
Yeah. So I'm going to decorate this a little bit. I'm not very good at decorating, so I'm just going to do very simple leaves that most people will be able to do. Don't know how many I need. This might be petals, who knows. We'll give this a go. You don't have to put this on, but gives it a nice little touch. I could have probably made one of my, with that bit of pastry there, could have made one of my pesto rolls out of that. So think about things like that as well. You know, I'm using it for decoration, but that could almost be another meal there. But I just want to show you what you can do for those of you that aren't familiar with pastry. And we've still got some left over too. Now each time you roll this hot water pastry, it gets harder and harder. I have been known to re-energise this for a few seconds in the microwave, and then it gets a bit warmer and easier. So we're just gonna, we don't want really thick leaves. Okay, so I'm just gonna pat them down a bit because otherwise they, you know, takes longer to cook. That one looks like a banana. And then just think about a leaf. Am I in the right place for the camera?
Yeah, you're fine.
Sometimes Dav loses the wheel and wanders off.
I haven't wandered off.
No, but brain-wise.
Yeah, I'm here physically.
Till the pie appears and then he's right there.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to do some, so we're doing leaves. Might do some little berries too. Ooh, we're getting very creative. So you can get the kids doing this, obviously not with this big sharp knife. With a flat headed knife would be good. Get them involved. And then these would need to be glued on with a little bit of water. So that will be our decoration. So I'll put them over there. And as you can see, this is starting to stiffen a bit now. So I'm glad I rolled that out. Yep, we're all right there. So with this bit, I'll think of something creative and come back to you, and we'll just check the base.
I think we've still got some feta and pesto in the cupboard.
Really?
Really?
Oh, okay. I've got this out the oven, and it's been in on 180 for, I would say,
just under 15 minutes.
Just under 15 minutes. It's not gone brown. You can see how much it's shrunk around the edges. Now you wouldn't normally use one of these disposable tins. I've still got enough round there to join to, so I'm not worried. I've beaten up an egg, a lovely local free range egg, and this here is going to be my glue that joins the top. I'm just going to go around there. Now remember, this is very, very hot because obviously it's just come out of the oven. Teaching you how to suck eggs, I know, but I've got to put that in there. So I'll let that soak in a bit. And now I'm going to get my filling. So I've got my slightly cooled mixture. It's still hot, but it's not bubbling, boiling. So I'll just give that a stir. It smells lovely. And all the gravy now has sort of thickened up nicely. So I'm now going to put this into my base. So just by giving it that little bit of a it actually come out okay without baking beans. So if you haven't got any, don't worry. There was one bubble that come up a bit, and I just pricked it with a fork and it went back, so it was fine. And that was on the side actually, not on the bottom.
Oh yeah, that looks good. Make sure we get everything out. Now I'm going to use my trusty pastry spoon I use for everything, because we don't want, I mean, the ones I remember from school were a lot flatter than this, and they only had a pastry crust. Well, a lot of them did, obviously for cost, and then it used to be cut like that, and we'd all hopefully get a bit of pastry. Didn't always work out like that. So that's a good filling in there. Take that out of the way because we need a little bit of room here. Take that out of the way too. Okay, and as you can see, I'm leaving it on this tray. Now I'm going to just go around with a bit more egg. I should have probably egged after, to be honest. Some days I'm right on it, and other days I'm off. We all have days like that. Okay, so in a minute I'm going to lift my lid over.
Now I'm going to use, I've actually had to fold for space, but best way to do it is roll it, woo,
Oh, blimey.
roll it over your rolling pin, and then place, just get, before you plop it down, that's it, you've got a little bit of a window to move it, you want to make sure it's covering all the edges, okay, and let it ease in. Okay, because again this is going to shrink a bit, so make sure you sort of very gently ease it into the gapping there, and then you want to get this pastry to glue to this lip, and you'll feel it going in. Then we're going to trim it. I'm not going to do a very mean trim, I'm going to come round a bit over what I need because I know this is going to shrink up. Now all this pastry I'm trimming off can be reused. It's good to have a good sharp knife at this point. Just tidies it right up. Remember, this is a home baked pie, so it's not going to look like the ones you buy in the supermarket.
It's like having Greggs at home.
That wasn't a compliment, by the way. Right. Right, so what I'm going to do is actually pinch in. I'm not going to use a fork, I'm going to just go in with my thumb. We're not going for amazing patterns on the side or anything. My son, our son, Henry, has appeared because he can smell cooking. The only time we actually see him is when there's something nice smelling.
Or when he wants something.
Yeah. So there we go. So we've got, that should have formed a really good seal. And you know, that will cook very nicely. I'm going to put 2 slits in to let the steam out. And then I'm going to go over with my egg wash. So I would say we're on to 3 eggs. An egg for washing and sealing, and then 2 eggs, because remember we made double amount of pastry, which we nearly needed anyway. We're going to have some left. Okay. You can hear we're grunting, it's our dog getting some fuss. Very hygienic. Oh, there we go. He sneezes when he has a cuddle. There we are. Thanks, Henry, for the sound effect. Right, so what we're going to do with these, I don't know. I might come out this way. There we go. Makes it sort of look a bit Grecian in a way. Some strange Greek pie.
It's like the opening to The Good Life, this pie. Look.
Do, 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 do.
Ba, 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 ba. For you younger listeners, ask your parents.
You always need like a little smiley face on there. So you just give these a wash as well, and the wash gives it a lovely shine, and it just gives it a golden brown colour. So this is going in, and what I'm going to do with this one, might cut it actually to show you what it looks like maybe, but what this one will do, I'm going to bake it and then freeze it, so then it's just a defrost and put back in the oven. And you can take it out and microwave it, obviously not in the tin. So I'm going to put this in on this tin. I'll keep an eye on it and let you know how long it was in. So while the minced beef pie is in the oven, I'm going to, so I use £2, I call it £2, but £2 of flour amount of pastry. So this is what I've been left with, and what I've done is put it into the microwave for about 25 seconds, just to give it back a bit of, because it had gone so stiff, and it just makes it rollable again. So we're not going to waste this. We can't use it for a sweet pastry because it's got a bit of salt and pepper in it. So we're going to use it for something savoury. So give it a good roll out. Now at this point, this could make
casing for a sausage roll. Let me take that bit off. As you can see, I haven't tied it. It's all still the dreadful floury surface. So, hang on a minute. The other dog's having a good old drink now.
It's not one, it's the other.
Okay, so we've got this. Now if I fold that over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 little sausage rolls if I had sausage meat, pesto roll. I've got a bit left here, so I'm going to put that there. Roll out another bit. Don't waste anything. Keep going. Good God, what's going on here today? Why is all our dogs dying of thirst?
They didn't get a walk last night, I don't think.
I'm not going to walk tonight either because it's biddling down. Right, let's have a look. A little bit on the thin side, I've got to say this. Let's have a look. So we've got one like that, be a little mini one. I have to get a bit more out of that. Okay, so what to do? I'm going to hunt round and come back to you and see what I can make with it. Okay, so we've got a packet of thick pork sausages, luxury ones. I'm just going to use 4 sausages, keep 2 for breakfast, and I haven't done a video of our sausage rolls because I tend to make them towards Christmas and we weren't videoing them. So I'm just going to show you sort of a very hard down version. We're not keen on sausages. We buy them for the barbecue, but apart from that, not overly fussed. So
I love them.
I know, but there's more than you in this family, so you know.
It should be all about me.
Now, obviously, you normally do this in a bowl. So it's raw onion. But I'm trying to judge how much I need. I'm trying to make this go as far as I can. Okay, the raw onion, if you put cooked onion in, hasn't got the same sort of taste. I did try that. Bear with me a second, I just need to wash my hands. Okay, a very important thing for sausage rolls is black pepper. Oh, the grinder's stuck. It's the joy of an 89p grinder. Okay, so we get that in. Now I've still got some egg wash left, so I'm going to use that up. The oven's on, so that's good. I can use the heat of the oven to cook these while I'm cooking my big pie. Okay, so here goes. Now you want to sort of think in your head, you want to make a very, very almost rough sausage shape. So we're going to go like this. Now I've got this painted out, this recipe with instructions, but I've not, like I say, I haven't done a video. So we're definitely going to have enough for this one, and I haven't got enough to do that one, so I'm going to just make these slightly chunkier.
Yes.
Oh dear God. There we go. So we want to push that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this pastry over. So we need glue. I call it glue. Don't use glue.
It's the same sort of advice Donald Trump recommends with bleach.
Yeah, so we're going to, hang on, let me turn it round so you can see. Is it on there, Dad?
Just about, yep.
You got it? You sure?
Yeah, we're looking.
So the whole thing is you want to, these 2 sides to meet, and then you want to press. Now there's a few people that follow Gina's Tea Time, not many, but there's a few, and they sent pictures. A lady called Kim Owen from
It's Happy Valley in Beaumaris.
In Beaumaris, Beaumaris I think they call it, and she made sausage rolls from my little instruction thing I'd painted,
And she did the same. She skinned sausages because she didn't have any sausage meat. It's quite hard to get sausage meat apart from around about Christmas, you know, unless it's frozen and it's not the same. So I've just made a little print with my knife. Now it's easier to do this just before you egg wash. So sharp knife through.
Look at them beauties.
Now you could make them smaller if you wanted to, but we're all piggies here, so okay. So that's 6. Now you see these splits here, don't worry too much, we just put a bit of egg wash onto them and that should sort it out. Just press a little bit firmer, go right round the backs of these, and these smell delicious. Now another thing, obviously these sausages, I'm not sure what flavouring they've got in them, if any, but...
No, these are just the pure pork ones. We've had these from Iceland, they're really nice.
Okay, we're not actually sponsored by Iceland or anything, but it's whatever shops we go to. But fresh sage, not tons, but that's lovely cut up in sausage meat. A bit of mace I put in at Christmas, a tiny little bit, and fresh sage, lots of black pepper, and we used to have these, or we still do, Christmas Eve. It was like a tradition. You wouldn't have tea or dinner, you'd have sausage rolls and mince pies Christmas Eve. So I've got a tin here. I'm going to, I'll actually put a bit of flour in because I'm running out of utensils, because these are quite oily anyway from the sausage. And this is quite a good non-stick tin. And I'm going to place these in here, like so. Now I'm still left with a bit of pastry.
You can't let it go.
Yeah, so I can fit something else on there. I'm going to have another hunt around. This video is going to be 20 hours long.
There's some mozzarella that we've got to use. So
okay, I'll be back in a minute. I've relented and I've just used the last 2 sausages. Anything for a quiet life. Davin wants a giant sausage roll because he's a pig. So I've added more pepper just to give him a bit of trouble. Because of his greed. So this is like, I can either do this as one giant one.
Yes.
Or get 2 big ones out. What do you think, Davin?
Jumbo.
You're going to go for a jumbo?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you can score this. I don't know what it's going to come out like. But I'll just do it on this one so you can see. Now, egg wash that. Nice over. Go it right over. So it's a good lunchbox one, that one. And oh yeah, I did seal it, so that's okay. I'm just going to trim it off. So that one's been, you can just see that one's been cut. So you can see the difference. So I'm going to pop them in the oven while my minced beef pie is cooking. And we check on that and we'll get back to you. Right, so I've got this out. It's been in 35 minutes. Obviously the inside of it was pre-cooked already. The base was pretty cooked. So we just had to worry about the top, and it's a nice firm top. Lots of lovely glaze on it. So I reckon, looking at it, it could serve 8 good portions. So I'm going to cut through, to lose my...
Seems almost a shame. It's like a work of art, Jane.
I know. Oh, you know what we should have done?
What?
Taken a photo.
What?
Ah, hang on a moment. There we go.
There you go.
Brilliant. Yeah, we always forget to take a picture of anything we've made. Well, nearly always. So I'm going to go into there. And it doesn't feel like it's stuck to the tin, so that's good news. So just give it a bit of a wriggle. Now, I would normally, you could cut this tin and get it out easier, but I want to reuse the tin because I'm thrifty. I've got my 19, I think it's 70s plate there for a bit of a...
You have to bring it into the camera here because I can't see it. There it is. Oh, yes. From the land of brown and orange.
Yeah. So I'm going to get this out now, and I'm actually going to be a bit naughty and come off camera to do this because I'm a little bit nervous about hoiking it out.
Yeah, it might look like
So I just stretch the tin down, and then I'm going to go under with my spatula. Let me just make sure I'm clear there. Oh, look at that. Put a bit more filling in there. So that would do, yeah, 8 comfortably. And that, I mean, whoever gets the edge always gets more pastry, obviously. So I'm going to serve this up out of my very posh plastic bowl. Some peas, because it's got a lot of veg in it already. So we've got some peas there and some gravy.
Ooh,
too.
yeah, lay it on.
We know Dav likes gravy. So there we are. So I don't know what to call this really, but it's a nostalgic minced beef pie and peas made with love.
With bonus sausage rolls in the videos today.
Or they'll be coming out soon. So yes, hope you enjoyed. And there'll be the little sausage rolls coming out soon. But for now, this is the star of the show. So our sausage rolls are out of the oven now. So we've made pie. Sausage rolls, this was made from 6 sausages with raw onion and pepper. They smell fantastic. This was the jumbo one that Dav wanted. So I left that in the oven a little bit longer. I would say these are as far cooked as you want them cooked, really. All the filling was sizzling, because remember it was a raw filling. And these took about 25 minutes. Just keep an eye on them and make sure, obviously, they're cooked. So you can see, really lovely filling. They will be lovely hot. We're not going to eat them now because we've had a bit of pie, or cold with chutney or pickle, anything like that. They are absolutely fantastic. Good lunchbox filler as well. Really hearty, bit naughty food, but I know I'm doing all these videos, but we don't eat this all the time. I know it's hard to believe.
I am 80% pastry woman.
We haven't made this for 6-7 months. Normally I only make these coming up to Christmas, but because we're doing these videos, I'm not cramming them, but putting them all in, really just so I can make a diary of everything together. So you wouldn't naturally cook as much pastry as we have. People keep saying to my husband, do you live just off pastry? Your wife's going to give you a heart attack. Well, maybe so. But we just take it easy, and we have salads in between and other stuff. So it's not all about pastry, but pastry does make stuff go a long way. And I was thinking about this. If this pie that I've made here, let me move it over, the one I made earlier. Now I've made it in this disposable roasting tin, but if it was slightly shallower and longer, if you had like a brownie tin, then this would easily serve 10. Yes, it would be slightly flatter. Obviously the longer you go, 12, but remember your depth goes down.
Well, we just priced it up, and it works out incredible value for...
Yeah, it's 95p a serving. Now I've just had that bit.
That's based on 8.
And that was plenty for me. So you could actually get 10 reasonable. Davin and Henry had big side chunks. So, you know, you don't have to have like a big chunk. So you could, I would say this serves 8 to 10. If it's 8, it's 95p a portion. 10, obviously it goes down. And then if you made a longer one in maybe a brownie tin or something like that, it goes down even more. So it's really good filling value. We didn't have this with potatoes. We just had it with peas, which was plenty. Thanks for watching.